Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Africa's rich cultural heritage was erased by colonialism with the looting of artifacts and relics, leaving communities disconnected from their past. I mean, the relationship between an African man and his culture is a love-hate relationship, a complex relationship. A Yoruba man in Nigeria would rather wear a suit, kit himself in a suit, than wear his traditional attire. Yes. In 2017, President Macron promised to return these relics and artifacts to the African countries they belong. But he ended up returning only 28. 26 to Benin, 1 to Senegal, and 1 to Madagascar. Whilst it's recorded that they have 90,000 artifacts that are not theirs, belonging to African countries. They've studied their promise to return these artifacts to the African countries they belong, while they still want to hold Africa by the neck. Yes, they still want to lord over Africa. Let's watch this interview and come back to discuss.
These artifacts, who do they belong to?
They belong to the museums where they are now.
Where do Africa's treasures belong? Now imagine this headline differently. Imagine if it said, where do Germany's treasures belong?
But if they were stolen?
No, it was looting, yes. Looting of war was legal.
I don't get this distinction between looting and stealing.
No, it was stolen if you want, but in the 19th century, in the 18th century, in the 17th century, during all the wars, art was stolen. Back everything or nothing.
Courage to say we were wrong. The courage to say about art acquired illicitly, this is not ours.
And more of this, these works of art, when they were taken, if they were not taken, they would have disappeared, because many of artifacts, African artifacts, are made of wood, and wood it was not made to be kept, you know, so it would have disappeared. They became works of art in museums because Europeans said it's art.
This position is paternalistic arrogance of the most stunning sort. It is also lacking in basic logic. Since when has the basis of ownership been taking good care of what is owned? Much of what we call African art are also documents that tell stories, that these are objects that are religious, spiritual, sacred. Obviously, I don't think everything should be sent back to the countries from which they came. Not everything was stolen. But those things that are sacred, those things for whom people were killed, those things that have in them the stains of innocent blood, should be returned.
How do we get African kids to see their own artifacts?
Yes, you can do this, you know, in French museums and Africa, to organize exhibitions. Yes, it's okay to send them to Africa, but they must return to the French museums where they belong.
Europe has defined itself as a place of certain values: progress, liberty, fraternity, tolerance, individual rights, and most of all, the rule of law. A nation that believes in the rule of law cannot possibly be debating whether to return stolen goods. It just returns them. Europe should be what it claims to be. Live up to the ideals with which you define yourself.
Just imagine the boldness. Him sitting down there to defend stealing in all his rights. Are we kids now? These guys have done more harm than good. Africans have been deprived of their cultural heritage for so long. Kids do not even know about their cultural heritage. I mean, in schools, at a point, history was scrapped from being taught. And even when history was taught, it was about the colonial era, post-colonial era, and not much was done or taught about the pre-colonial era. Yet, they are claiming rights over artifacts that is ours. Now, this issue isn't just about returning these artifacts, but acknowledging the historical injustices that has been done against the African culture for so long. Will they provide monetary reparations equal to the benefits they've enjoyed from our artifacts for so long? Obviously, the answer is no. They want to lord over us. What are your thoughts about the story? Kindly comment below and do not forget to share, subscribe, and turn on your notification button.